All right, today we're going to cover 1.3 midpoints and just continuing on from where we left off with the first section of midpoints. So remember, your midpoint is what's in the center of a line segment, and it splits it in half, so each side is congruent when you do so. So here's a midpoint formula. So today we're going to use it with points versus looking at an actual segment. So if you just have x, meaning you just have two numbers, what you do is you take that number, plug it in, so it'd be this one plus this one, and then divide them by 2, and that's your answer. And then if you have a coordinate point like 4, 5, and then say 7, -8, you would plug it into this formula and solve it out. So find midpoint. This one's like 19 through 22 on your bookwork today. So this one is just x because it has just a two numbers. There's no coordinate points on this. So we're going to use x1 plus x2 divided by 2. I'm going to just label it x1 and x2. So I'm going to say -6 plus 2 divided by 2. Then the -6 plus 2, this gives me -4. Put my equal signs on each of these. -4, and then divided by 2. And then -4 divided by 2 is -2. Okay. Actually, I'm going to label this midpoint, and so on. So midpoint on this one equals -2. Okay. Next, wants us to find midpoint. Now we're going to label it just like we did the distance formula. x1, y1, x2, and y2. And then we're going to plug it into our midpoint formula, which is parentheses x1 plus x2 divided by 2. There's a comma in the middle. And then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So now we just plug in each of these. So if it helps, I'm going to do this in multicolors just so you can see. Let me get some colors set up. So this is my x1, y1, x2, y2. So midpoint is equal to, my x1 is the maroon, so I'm going to do -8. And then my y1 is, what's going to be plus a y1 is, x2 is -4. Remember, a positive and a negative being multiplied becomes a negative. And then divided by 2, comma. Then my y1 is our -6 plus, then y2 is 10, all divided by 2. I realize I do this in a wrong color, but it's okay. All right, so now we just got to solve this out. And what you want to do, you want to just solve straight down, okay? This is the x on the left side of the comma. This is the y on the right side of the comma. Never jump across the comma. Keep the comma going all the way down. So each time just do something like this, each step down, and just work your way down. So that's right here we have -8 minus 4. So -8 minus 4 becomes -12, and we're going to divide it by 2. And then over here we have -6 plus 10. -6 plus 10 becomes a +4, and then divided by 2. Now we just simplify it. M equals -12 divided by 2 is -6, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. Once you get it simplified all the way to the bottom, then you are finished. Just put a box around it. We have officially found midpoint. And make note that this is like number 23 through 26. Now we need to find the other endpoint. Okay, so what we've been finding is the midpoint, finding the center between two different points. Now what they gave us here is they gave us the midpoint, which is 8, 0, and an endpoint. And we have to find the other endpoint. So basically, we stack these. I have -2, 9. That's one of my endpoints. Then my midpoint is 8, 0. and I need to find where the other side of it is. So basically, it's like if I had this segment, and it was H on one side and M on the other, and I need to find what this other coordinate point is on the other side of it, okay? They gave me an endpoint, which was H, and the midpoint, which was M. Now I need to find this missing point over here. Okay? So we stack them. Like I said, your midpoint always goes in the middle. Think of a snowman, 3 layers, and the midpoint's always right in the middle. So what I want to do is from here to here and from here to here. All right, so think about this. If the midpoint's directly in the middle, then the change from one side to the other is going to be the same. Okay? So if to go from the endpoint to the midpoint, it added 6, to go from the midpoint to the other endpoint, it's got to add 6 again. And vice versa. If from the endpoint to the midpoint, it subtracts 7, and then you subtract 7 to find the rest of it. So let's see here. Okay? So from -2 to 8, I got to figure out what is the difference, how far did it go to get from -2 to 8, okay? And what I want to do with these is add them together and figure out if one's positive and one's negative, let's add these together. So I'm going to go over here to the left, and 8 plus 2 is 10, okay? So to go from negative to positive, it went up, so it's positive, and then from -2 to 8, we had to go from -2 to 0, if you want to draw a number line. From -2, -1 to 0, so this was plus 2 here, and then I had to go 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So plus 8 here. So I had to add 2 and 8 to get 10. So it went up 10 spots. Okay? And whatever I did here, I have to now do here. So it's going to go up plus 10. So now what I do is I add the 8 plus the 10, and it gives me 18. So there's the x coordinate. Now I'll come over here to the other side. I'm going to do the same thing. To go from this 9 to 0, to go from positive 9 to 0, we subtracted. And we subtracted 9. 9 to 0 is subtracting 9. So what I need to do is I need to subtract 9 here. Whoops. Subtract 9. So, because that's from here to here, subtracting 9, and it's the exact same because it's in the middle. So subtract 9 again. 0 minus 9 is -9. So my final answer is 18, -9. Make sure you have to put it in a parentheses, and you have to have the coordinate points in the comma in the middle, okay? And then this is the work that you're doing today. Doing page 25, number 19 through 29, all.